once we do the intro.
Good people, good people. It's always a pleasure being able to come to you live and in direct, live and sure about what we're going to chat about, but most importantly, live. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to chat about some things that the average person only chats about with their homeboys. We're getting ready to come to you live chatting about things that the average person only chats about with their home girls. But we're going to come to you live and indirect. But of course, it's going to be three of us. But we're going to chat about some very direct things because we're going to take it there. Because that's kind of what life is all about. I'm your host, John, the Date Dr. Clark.
Dr. Clark. I'm Terrence Perry, life coach.
I'm Charlene Hargrove, business owner.
All right, good people. So before we get started, let's kind of chat about some rules and some regulations and some basic things. We're all adults. So I would imagine that if anybody has a reasonable question, feel free to like the page, feel free to respond in the comments. We'll do our best to kind of respond accordingly. I realize sometimes we're all adults, and sometimes when we get animated about a particular topic, sometimes we may go in depth. Sometimes that 2-minute conversation may possibly turn into some 20 minutes. But of course, charge it to the game, not my heart. But a couple other rules. Like I said, if you got any questions, feel free to shoot them out in the comment section. Feel free to like this page. Feel free to throw some love marks. Feel free to share it because we're going to take it there. We're going to have a blast. We're going to have some very interesting topics today. One of those things is that I'm going to focus on is why is it that when the guy or the female has a ring, why is it that people are more fleeing towards him? Why is it that people are more attracted to him? Why is it that women kind of come out of the woodwork just because a person has a ring on, or not necessarily just a ring? Why is that because he's in a relationship or she's in a relationship? The average man and a woman may tend to look at him or look at her much differently. So that's kind of one of the things that I'm going to necessarily focus on. And Brother Terrence, what are you going to focus on today, man?
Well, actually, I'm going to focus on you and Charlene on some previous questions that you all had, particularly with Charlene had a question. Well, not a question, but she had a comment on Facebook Live over this past week about she don't believe that there can be unconditional love between a man and a woman. So I want where she's coming from with that concept of no unconditional love between. And John, also, I still want to backtrack with one that you talked about several weeks ago about can a man or woman that's in a relationship or married pick up each other's phone without any hesitation or without that being an issue. I want to get back to that. We talked about it the other week, but with the technical difficulties, it kind of got lost. So I want to put that back out there again, too. So we'll do that. We'll get into some of those.
We can do that. So I know you want to share some of the things you can learn on the good stuff.
As far as you talking about unconditional love?
Well, I think you can. I guess I guess he kind of already introduced you anyway. But I guess we can kind of want to chat about kind of like what we do, some things before we get started. Okay. Yeah. So I guess we do like a little basic introduction as far as ourselves individually. I'm John, the Date Dr. Clark. And, of course, I know you all are thinking, well, what in the world is the Date Doctor? Not to be confused or misconstrued with the movie starring Will Smith with Hitch that came out a couple years back. But at the end of the day, it's technically and morally that. In my private practice, I do a lot of marriage and relationship counseling. I do a lot of single counseling or individual counseling as well. But also match people together. What I do is I say that I get to know people. I take the time. I take about a week and a half, sometimes 2 weeks, to kind of make sure this person is ready to kind of get out there in the dating field. I make sure they're ready to be loved. I make sure they're ready to love. I make sure they're ready to understand and to know their love languages. But most importantly, I get to know them as an individual. Because not to be confused with Match.com, not to be confused with Christian Mingle, not to be confused with Backpage or BlackPeopleMeet.com. What I focus on a very one-to-one type basis, and I take time to necessarily get to know the person I'm going to be serving. Because everybody kind of wants that guy that's 6'4", has all his teeth, has a great job. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he can cater to you. That doesn't necessarily mean that he knows how to love you. Everybody wants that typical guy, but does that typical guy know how to love you as an individual? Does that guy necessarily know and understand and can apply your love language? That's kind of the issue that we kind of have as people. We're raised that we should treat people accordingly. We're raised that we should treat people the way our parents taught us how to treat them, as opposed to being raised to treat people the way that they prefer to be treated. Now, I'm going to say prefer again, just in case one of y'all got Sprint, AT&T, or T-Mobile, and you may have lost the call, and you may have dropped the bar. What I'm saying is, we need to learn the ways as far as how the average person prefers to be loved. If I'm a person that adores physical touch, words of affirmation, yes, gifts will be nice. But what if it's nothing that I prefer? Then, of course, I'm going to feel like you're not really taking my love language into consideration. I'm going to appreciate the gifts and the words of affirmation. But will I necessarily feel love? That's the issue that we kind of have as people. The average father in the home typically encourages his son to shower the average woman with gifts. But a woman wasn't raised in a lifestyle of gifts, and she was raised in a lifestyle of words of affirmation and needed an additional form of common ground. Then that's what we as guys need to kind of focus on. But, of course, I'm John the Date Dr. Clark. I do a lot of marriage and relationship counseling. I write books about how to get over people in 10 days, how to understand a man. But most importantly, my latest book is getting ready to drop tomorrow that I'm not going to tell the world about until tomorrow. It's how to understand a woman, but from a man's viewpoint. There are 7 types of women in this world, and the world's getting ready to see tomorrow. But that's a little bit about me.
Charlene?
Okay, well, I'm Charlene. I'm a business owner. I'm a mother. I have 2 children. I'm the unofficial person that my friends go to for advice because I kind of keep it real with them. So, and they kind of love what I have to give. And I saw a couple of platforms. I've been in a couple of groups on Facebook, and I'm glad to be able to participate in this, to give my opinion on what I've seen as a woman that's out here in the dating arena that's done the, typical, not back pages, but Match.com and things like that. What I'm seeing progressing as far as the interaction between a man and a woman, how we fail to not communicate because we each want to be heard, but neither one of us want to listen. So I'm glad to be here.
Sounds like a double standard, but I get it. Everybody wants to be heard, now everybody wants to listen.
Yeah, but that's true.
That is true.
It's like what you was talking about.
Yeah.
I call it the good man, good woman syndrome. We have a situation with ourselves and saying, I'm a good woman. Why doesn't he want me? And he doesn't have to. We have to realize that we think that just because being a good woman, we're a match for everybody, but we're not. I'm a good woman for the right man for me. And that's what I have to be. And that's what I, kind of tell a lot of women. That's what you think. You have this, and this. Why I'm not in a relationship? You're not in a relationship because the people that you're encountering are not looking for what you have to offer.
Thank you.
So they don't want.
That's deep.
That's true. I'm gonna touch bases at the end of the show about the book. You reinvent yourself, and also it's about relationships. But I kind of go into this at the end of the show. I'll let you know where to go and get it at. As we talk about today's topic during the show, we're gonna be touching bases on what generational curses is, and soul ties. Ungodly and godly soul ties. We're going to touch on some of that today as we get into this conversation about unconditional love. Can there be or can there not be? So, John, I'm going to let you take it from here, and we're going to get into some of this conversation.
Okay. Well, good people, I'm getting ready to take it there. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to come to the record from the hip. I'm not going to read to you from a textbook. I'm not going to read to you from anything. I'm not going to read to you from encyclopedia. I'm not going to read to you from Wikipedia. I'm going to come to you from the brain. Something to think about, good people. Imagine this. You're in a relationship. Everything is going good. You're able to show your woman off to your boys. You're able to show your woman off on social media. Everybody's liking your page. Everybody's going through the honeymoon phase. 3 months later, Becky Sue is coming out the woodwork. Bonquisha is coming out the woodwork. Becky Sue's baby sister cousin's sister is coming out the woodwork. But they were never coming out the woodwork prior to you getting into that relationship. The real question is, why is that? The real question now is, why is it that we're starting to believe the myth? Why is that we're starting to believe the hype that just because we get into a relationship, people tend to come out the woodwork? Why is that, ladies and gentlemen? That's not a question I want you to answer, but it's a question I want you to answer in your mind. But I'm getting ready to break it down to you. Is it something that we're doing that's different? Is there a scent about us? Do we dress different? Does the ring look different? Do we advertise it differently? Is it signs of envy? Is it signs of jealousy? Is it because they want what you have? Is it because that you look happy? Ladies and gentlemen, something to think about. I'm going to go in depth. We're going to go in depth. But I want you all to think about it for a second. Is the myth true? Is it just a stereotype? Do we necessarily need to believe the hype? Something to think about for my good people. From experience. Well, not from experience, because I'm sure my wife is watching. But from the outside looking in, we're gonna have to delete that. From the outside looking in, why is it that the people tend to attract to the person that's in a relationship much more often? Let's think about it for a second. Are we necessarily? I'm gonna go over the first 5 principles of it. Are we doing stuff different in a relationship as opposed to what we're initially doing as opposed to us being single? Yes. Think about it. The average person, when we're attracted to somebody, what we tend to do? We tend to bring our A game. We tend to bring our B game when we're comfortable. But the fact that we tend to bring our A game and the average person we love and we strive towards making that A. We strive towards doing everything possible to increase the chances of this person really liking us. We put our best foot forward. We're doing everything that's A++. We're doing everything possible that looks wonderful and great, that looks as positive from the outside looking in. So that's check 1. So what's the next thing? Do we smell different? Do we dress different? Yes, because the average person nowadays, when we're in a relationship, we tend to go above and beyond. We tend to develop those habits as far as what our significant other likes. If our significant other loves cargo jeans or cargo shorts, guess what we're going to be shopping at? Old Navy, the thrift store, the flea market, in order to find those type of things. Why? Because we do these things because it's more accommodating towards our significant other. But guess who else likes it? Becky Sue. Guess who else likes it? Bonquisha. Guess who else likes it? Becky Sue's baby sister, cousin, third sister, baby daddy on the left side of the family. Because the majority of us, we like those things. And the majority of those things are appealing to the average person. Is it wrong? Yes. Does it happen? Yes. Are we human beings? Yes. So those are some of our 2 basic principles as far as why women or men tend to flock towards us when we're in a relationship. So I guess the next thing now is, what about the scent of a man and or a woman when we're in a relationship? Do we tend to put on that extra bit of a fragrance when we're in a relationship? Probably. The average person nowadays, the average man nowadays, he sprays on at least 4 sprays of a particular fragrance. Or sometimes if he's a big fan of going to the hood or going to the flea market, he's probably going to put on the oil. So he's probably going to do that. The average man nowadays, he tends to put oil in 2 places. Boom, and here, and right here. But the average man that gets into a relationship, he tends to do it much more often. So do you all see the difference that I'm getting at? We tend to do more. We tend to become more attractive. We tend to be more appealing. So the last thing I want to chat to you all about before we open up the floor, do we look different when in a relationship, when we're in a marriage? Of course you do, because your job right now is to be more appealing. Your job right now is to dress different. Your job right now is to wear more fragrances. Your job right now is to go to the barbershop much more often. Your job right now is to go get your hair done much more often, because your job now is to be more appealing to your significant other. So is the stereotypes correct? Yes, it's correct. Are the myths correct? Yes, they're correct. Ladies and gentlemen, we do different. When we do different, we react different. And when we react different, the outcomes are different. So that's just kind of my 1 to 2 cents of it, non-taxed. So with that being said, I want to open up the floor to my people and also my speakers. What does everybody think about as far as the myth or the stereotype of why is it that the people kind of come out the woodwork when they're in a relationship or whenever we're in a marriage?
Well, I'm going to say this.
Tell
First, you're going to look different when you're married or in a relationship because you're going to get comfortable with that person. So what you did in the beginning, you ain't going to do all the time. That's why they fail. So that right there dispels that myth. What happens basically is the fact that with women, we're pursuing men and we're pursuing men to be in a relationship with us. So you become more attractive because I'm seeing you're the type of guy that wants to commit to a female. Mm-hmm. So because if you're single, mm-hmm. I don't have an obligation to anybody because you're a single man and you don't have a ring on your finger. I don't have to respect that because I was always told, even if you're in a relationship, you're single because there's only one true relationship and that's marriage. And that's it. If you're dating somebody, you may be exclusive. I have not crossed any boundaries to pursue you. You're the one that has the obligation not to pursue back because you have respect for the woman you're dating. So I don't think that the way you look or the way you dress or whatever, it's just the fact that, hey, here's a guy that I see that I know that it commits to a relationship. I would prefer to date somebody that I know is going to commit to me. So if this guy's out here doing this for this female, let me see where he's at, and I may want to pursue him because the fact of the matter is I'm looking for what she already has. Because of the marriage, we all know we get lazy in marriage. We don't do the same thing we did when we started trying to get them. You don't even do the same things after 3 months of dating a person that you did when you first started getting them.
Okay, I respect that. So what you're saying is that when a person is not when a person does not have the ring on, when a person is just kind of in that courting phase, that it's okay for someone of the opposite sex or someone of the similar sexual preference to kind of come in and step in the way of that.
They're not stepping in the way. They're not stepping in the way. I'm a single woman. You're married, so you're off the market. You're off the market. I should not have respect of your marriage and not pursue you. But if you were dating a woman, you're dating her. You're on the market. You're on the market simply the fact that you have not been locked down. You don't have a ring on your finger. You're still single. There is no such status as dating. Do you see it on the application? Is it on there? You're single. You're married. You're single. You're married. Divorced, or you're widowed. That's it. So even when you're divorced and widowed, you're single. Okay. That is a subcategory of single. What type of single are you? I'm single, but I'm dating somebody. I'm in a relationship with this person. So that means you have the option to see other people, but you're choosing to date her exclusively. You're not looking to get to know somebody else. You have not broken any boundaries if you choose to entertain somebody else. The only thing you're going to do is going to get somebody else's feelings hurt. You may cause somebody else to be in pain. But as far as me pursuing somebody that's in a relationship, no. That's his issue to not address what I'm giving to him. Do I want another woman to respect my relationship? Yes, I do.
Why?
Because I think that even though it's not wrong, I want a woman to want to know that when I pursue a marriage, if we respect each other's relationship, we respect our own, and we respect other people, we won't have to deal with all this infidelity. Okay. Because nobody is two participants. But when a man or woman cheats, the person that broke the boundaries is the one that's married, not the one that's actually the side piece per se. Okay. Because they don't have to honor me. The only difference I see is if you're a friend of mine. Because I don't know if that woman told my husband that my husband told that woman he was single. He could have lied to her and said, "Hey, I don't have a woman," but we find out later. So
it's still illegal, though.
Oh, is it moral?
It's morally wrong, and also it's illegal.
It can be in North Carolina. Yeah, you can get sued. You can get sued for that.
You will get sued if you get caught. Obviously.
Yeah,
but yeah, they don't play in the state of North Carolina.
They do not. They do not. Alienation of affections.
Alienation of affection, also criminal conversation. I mean, criminal conversation is more so the less of a physical attract. Well, it's the less of the physical aspect of things, but of course, alienation of affection is sometimes it can be sexual, sometimes it can be removing that emotional anguish from that particular party getting over here, but you can get sued from both.
Exactly, and that goes into what they spoke about on the last video. It was about being able to love two people, and see that's what happens. See, I just always believe that the heart has the ability to love anybody. So in reality, we speak about what we look for in a mate. Like you said, you want taller than that. If you're blind, physically blind, you have the ability to love purely because you're not looking at what that person is. You'll only be able to see that character of that person and be able to love that from the inside out. That's what you're able to see. So when you sit here and you, like I said, if I meet this guy over here and he's not physically attracted to me, I don't think he's attractive. I see this guy over here. I'm allowing my heart to get to know this guy. Okay. But this guy right here, I could have fell in love with him. True. So when you engage in conversations with somebody of the opposite sex, you're allowing yourself to open your heart up if you're going in there with that mentality to be able to love somebody else outside your spouse. So that's why I feel like you can, people say, well, you can't love two people at the same time. Yes, you can. I love my mother, my father, my brother. I love, I can be in love with a man. Type of love. It's a different type of love. So you can love more than one person at one time. So why do we think that if you can love a spouse and be in a relationship, that there's not a possibility that you can't love another person? That's where the conflict comes in, and that's where the lies come in. The lies come in because we don't know how to break up with people. We don't know how to be honest and tell them, I think we having issues in our relationship. We need to go seek counseling. Okay. We need to do this because we don't know. We've never been taught that life skill. Who teaches their child how to break up with somebody? How to tell them, I don't love you anymore. I'm not attracted to you anymore. Things are not working out. We see those things, and that's what happens. And most times people cheat. They sit here, don't know how to tell that person that they're with, that they don't want to be with them more. They want to do stuff to make you break up with them so they don't have to be a bad guy.
Lack of communication.
Yeah, lack of communication.
Well, do we have any on the screen that
yeah, we had one person that said that they had never heard a criminal conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have not heard that either.
Deep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Conversation.
I might have broke the law.
Oh yeah. In the state of North Carolina, what it is we're protected by two types of clauses. The main thing is alienation of affection, which is more so. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a physical aspect of cheating. Sometimes you can cheat emotionally. And in the state of North Carolina, in the court, we look at sometimes.
What's a good example of criminal conversation? Like when you intend to break people up? Is that the intent thing?
If my wife comes into this room right now and catches me having a sexualized conversation with Miss Margaret, and we're having like intimacy type things, and we're planning to go out and have sex, criminal conversation.
Lord,
because it's something that's
good to know.
Because if you think about it, it's a legal documentation. We just actually got married. Yes, I'm more so look at it from a moral perspective, but legally, if we're having a sexualized conversation that's kind of leading towards a planned event in the future, that's criminal conversation. And of course, it's
you conspiring.
You conspire. It's kind of like a conspiracy. It's kind of like being accessory to a crime.
Oh, so that is like the conspiring part of the alienation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you think about it, you're joining a bond, and obviously you have to pay for this type of bond. You go down to Johnson County, you got to pay $65 to get married to at least have that certificate. So if you're going to pay the money, they're going to hold you accountable. When you're born into this world, they're going to have that unwritten rule to hold you accountable that if you break the law, you're going to have consequences with that. So in the state of North Carolina, we have two clauses that kind of stand in the place of protecting us. If you choose to have sex, they can probably get you on both terms, because what it is alienation of affection. If you have sex, it's a wrap. Additional thing that you have to prove on alienation of affection is if you've emotionally left that relationship, not physically, if you've emotionally left where that person has been willing to take away your emotional anguish to leave from one party to the next, and of course, if they can prove it in the court of law, that's just kind of how it's going to work. But criminal conversation is one of those, if we're in here chatting about sex, knowing that I'm married, and we're playing things, it's exactly what it is. It's criminal conversation. I mean, hey, y'all better Google it.
Yeah, I learned something right there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks right now that need to be locked up. Well, sure, not necessarily get locked up, but more so they have a hefty fine. There's a lot of us that
because it's not even a crime. It's not even a crime of passion at that point. It's the conversation.
Yeah.
So it ain't. So it hadn't got to the next step. But let's back up a minute to your original question was, do married men and women look more attractive to the singles once they are married? Are they more attractive to the single people out there that started coming out the woodwork trying to hit on them because, I guess, are they looking better, smelling better because they're married? And you said that they're taking more steps. Once they're married, they're taking more steps to make themselves look better and be more appealing to their spouse.
Yeah. Think about it this way. Imagine having an account at State Employees Credit Union or Bank of America. Imagine getting married. If you have two parties where one makes $140K and you have another party that makes $40K, what does that really look like on documentation? If you got one party making $120K, if you got another party making $40K, that's $160,000 that one household is making. So when the average party begins to join together, when the state employees looks at that, they're going to look at the household where people are making $160K. So when you're doing that, that means that your credibility goes up. When you're doing it, that means the odds of your credit score goes up. The odds of your credit score going up is going to increase. The odds of you doing much more, the odds of you being able to do much more is going to increase. So I'm just kind of giving you the technicality. So imagine a tip is going into the draft. He's coming out of a dorm. He's used to wearing white tees and some J's that looks dirty like he got it from the flea market for about 3.5, 4 years. But imagine him entering the draft, getting that first-round draft pick, and now he's officially banking. The first thing that he's more likely going to do. What's the first thing that you're going to notice differently about him 3.5, 4 weeks later when the contract goes through? He's going to start buying different things. That's going to make his image look a heck of a lot different because now he has money. He has that financial gain, confidence. He has that clarity now. So that's kind of how I wanted to portray. But in reference to the topic, when we're married, sometimes we tend to do things differently. Sometimes we now have a more obligation to kind of be more appealing to our significant other. And when we do those things, sometimes the outside looking in kind of views it as, well, dang, that's kind of what I want. Because the average person, yeah, it says in the Bible we shouldn't be envious or jealous towards things, but also it says in there that we're not perfect. It all shows that we sin. It's also chats about that, we need to forgive. We need to ask for forgiveness because it gives us room to say that we're not perfect. So sometimes when we join relationships and sometimes we get into these things, it's different. And yes, we're going to do things different. Yes, our fragrance is going to smell. Or the average guy may want to take a 6 to 7 minute shower, but when he's married, he's probably going to take a 10 to 13 minute shower. Because he has a sleep significant other, because we tend to do things much differently. So it's just, you got to think about 4 to 5 different principles that we're going to increase in doing when we're in a relationship, because we're too busy trying to be more appealing and appeasing to ourselves. So that's just kind of my philosophy on that. And did anybody respond to that or anything like that? Usually I have people that challenge it whenever I say that. Okay.
Well, let me dispel some of the rumors along that. So first of all, most people that are married, like Charlene said, they may do those things that you talked about for maybe the first 4 to 6 months, maybe the first year. You're still in the honeymoon phase. But once they're deep into that marriage, a lot of those things tapers off.
Yeah, I agree.
So as they taper off, but I think what you're saying in actuality, when you first get married, you are going to be more appealing because you're excited. Like you say, you're doing more to make yourself more appealing. Your chest going to stick out a little further because you gotta, if you got married, then of course you married a beautiful person to you, so you're going to feel better about that. So that's going to chest out a little more, make women hold their head up a little higher and so forth. That's if things is going good, that can be maintained for a certain time frame. But at some point, it tapers off. And we see a lot of marriages, 50% of the marriages don't last. So that means that those behaviors don't last. Those things that you were doing to get him or her, you wasn't doing to keep him or her.
Yeah.
So so you're not going to be as appealing later. In the early stages of marriage, you may be more appealing. But as it goes on, unless you continue to do those things, you're not going to be as appealing. And that's going to also show, too. That's going to show. The other thing is part of what Charlene was talking about, but from a different standpoint, that's where the cheating starts, too. Because if you're not getting the love and attention that you was getting when you first got into the marriage, at a certain point, and you're not having those conversations. Hey, things taking off. Or we need, if you're not in line of communication, and things continue to fall apart, then it may drive you into the arms of someone else because you're not getting at home to get it. It's not that it's necessarily coming to you. You may be going toward it.
Yep.
But those things, like I said, it's different stages of the marriage in and of itself. In different stages, you are going to be more appealing. But at other stages, you may be looking a little depressed, a little down. It may need to pick me up.
I'm trying to tell you. And there's something else I'm going to add, too. If you think about it, the average person that's in a relationship or the average person that's in a marriage, what does he or she usually chat about the majority of the time when they're at work or when they're with the homeboys or when they're with the homegirls? What is the average guy bragging about? Oh, my girl did this. Oh, my wife did this. And the majority of us do work in like a opposite sex type of work environment. Sometimes it's same sex, sometimes it's opposite sex. But what does the average married couple chat about? What does the average boyfriend and girlfriend chat about when we're around each other?
Do men really do that? Do men really talk about what of a relationship?
We do. Some of us do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We chat about. Sometimes
everybody talk about relationships. Men and women.
See, that's something that I think that most women need to know, because we have the impression that men are very closed off. Men don't talk about, especially the emotional aspect of a relationship and like even now with a single woman or a single man, do men even go to communicate to their, like you're married and you're out there on your job and you're talking to a guy about, how wonderful it was when you got married and what your wife did or whatever, do you find that single brother may be saying, I want to find what you have? Or are they more so closed off to that?
We say it in different ways. I mean, if you think about it, we all have our gender differences. You may say, oh my gosh, I want a man that's going to blah, blah, blah. Whereas a guy may say it, dang, doc, I need to change my life around. And of course, it just kind of had the same perception. As people, we're different. And when we're different, we do different things. And when we do different things, we react and we have different outcomes. So yes, we do have these conversations. We don't have it in that type of detail because obviously, gender roles, we're different. Yeah. We respond to things different. But I think that's a lot of our issues as people. Sometimes we kind of want that guy that's super emotional, great communication skills. But if you think about it, we communicate differently. Some of us communicate similar. We communicate different. We respond differently. We say yes differently. We say no differently. The average person may, if you ask me a straightforward question, hey, babe, can you take me to the R. Kelly concert? My yes could be, oh, man, that'd be fun. Let me kind of look at the tickets. Let me look at the tickets. Let's kind of see, blah, blah, blah. Let's kind of see where we're going to sit at. The average guy may want to say yes, or the average woman may want to hear the yes, but that might be my way of saying yes. Or if I don't want to go, instead of me saying no, sometimes the average guy may say, we'll see. So, of course, the average person prefers it to be straightforward, but you got to think about it. We do not stay this world is not objective, and that's a lot of our issues. We want things to be technical. We want things to be black and white. We want things to be 1 + 1 = 2. And if you live that lifestyle, if you think that way, you're going to always have drama surrounded by you. You're going to always be disappointed. You're going to always be frustrated, whereas we need to change the way that we think, such as being more subjective. So if I know somebody that's going to lie to me and I see them lying, I feel that they're lying, I'm going to say in my head, you know what? This fool is lying to me verbatim. And I know they're lying, but I'm going to say is, if it doesn't affect my lifestyle, if it's not affecting my family, not affecting my wife, not affecting how I'm raised, it's not affecting my money, I'm just going to sit here and just kind of get in there and look like, Negro. I know you're lying, right? So just, we take on too much. And sometimes we get frustrated we get mad when we feel like people aren't taking accountability. But subconsciously what we do is, if we see that they're not taking accountability, we take it and we try to put it on our shoulders, which causes us to be more pissed off. And it causes us to lash out at people every time we feel like they're not taking accountability. So it just, we're not perfect. Guys aren't perfect. Females aren't perfect. And how I look. You said that I've been holding on the back of tongue.
Okay.
Crap. It's about to leave. It's about to leave. What do I need to do to bring it back? Just let me sit back. So about 15 minutes ago, you were talking about you were kind of chatting about conditional love. Oh, you were chatting about You were chatting about its obligation. You were chatting about, and I'm dating different people, or I'm dating one person at a time. And if you found like an interest in someone else, respectful, it goes on dating. So you all. One thing you said is not respectful if you go to different parties, especially married, but you also deemed it disrespectful if dating someone and another woman comes into the fiasco of your dating world, which makes it seem like it's real, no disrespect. Yeah. It makes it seem like it's real hypocritical. So how dare we're not but
I know it is what we do is as people.
Okay.
We want a perfect scenario. I want it to be perfect. I want to be able to know that, okay, I'm saying that I'm dating this guy. Mm-hmm. So just some dating in a relationship, it has our picture up there, then nobody's going to go in his DM, nobody's going to approach him, nobody's going to do anything to him because they're an official couple. That's not life. Technically, he's a single man. So when a woman approaches him, she has not disrespected, she has not cut through our marriage, because I hold that as the highest. I hold up to the highest. Me and him are exclusively dating. We're in a committed relationship. You're still in a dating phase. You're not going to a marriage situation. So if a woman approaches, technically, yes, she's disrespectful because she knows I'm in a relationship with this guy. If she knows, but if he's out and about, she doesn't know. She hasn't disrespected him. It's different than me because she doesn't know that we're in a relationship. Right. But once he says something about it, if she says, "Are you married?" No, I'm not. Okay, well, here's my number. I don't like it But he's a single man.
Why don't you like it?
Because I don't want, I personally, out of just because I want to be perfect, I don't want another woman, especially if my man has already told her, I want to know that a woman is not going to cross those boundaries. But that's not life.
But it's not official though. You're not married.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. I don't like it. Just because I don't like it, don't mean that I'm going to sit there and be ready to catfight the woman because she's the person is the man. Once she asks him, I'm like, I already told you. Yeah. I'm with somebody and I'm not interested. He shouldn't take that number. Like I said, I did post on the page. There's dating. Hey, we're going out with each other. We're going to see, if we know each other. Dating is not being exclusiveness unless you make it exclusive.
How do you get exclusive?
Girl, I wish we go back to high school. I like you. Do you like me? Check yes or no. Because we don't even communicate. Most women don't even know if they're in a relationship or not. We assume we are.
That's true.
Because we don't even ask. And most men won't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
It took me. If you don't ask, then
so what's that? Somebody do some role play. How does that conversation go? It's been years for me. I have no idea how they go.
I asked a guy once.
Like what? What do you say?
Well, I asked him in situation, things kind of changed between us, and certain things occurred, and I just came out and asked him. I said, this happened. Does this mean that we're, moving to a different phase? He came and told me, you sing to me, but I can't. So he didn't do what he did as a relationship type of thing. We were out on Valentine's Day. Like, okay, who takes?
I think it needs to be like a symbol, like
For me,
to be
for me that was like official, but he didn't see it that he saw it as Valentine's was a day that he.
I get that we do that all the time, but there's no.
So it's a conversation. If you're exclusive, it's a simple thing. You had a conversation.
What does the conversation sound like?
It sounds like, hey, you're not going to see nobody. I'm not seeing nobody. Do we agree on that? We're seeing each other. We're trying to move toward engagement, but that's not going to.
And I hate to be man as the responsible party because you know what? But you know why I put it? I'm sexist about it because women are raised from childbirth to get married, have 2 kids, have a white to marry.
That was before the 80s.
Yeah.
That was before the 80s.
But I'm before the 80s. I'm before the 80s. I'm way before the 80s.
True then, but since then it's been changed.
How?
A generation of kids, which is young adults now, that's not the mindset that they were raised in.
Even the prom, women are asking guys to the prom. Like, are you kidding me?
The point I want to make right there is to my 25-year-old self. Dear 25, if you haven't had that conversation, you are not in an exclusive relationship.
True.
But here's the problem. I mean,
because women,
if you hadn't had a conversation,
go there. I'm like, that's my man.
I'm dating somebody, and we're just dating to me. So John calls me, hey, John, I haven't seen you in a long time. Then I go out with John. He comes into the restaurant with his board and sees me out there with him. He's mad. I'm like, what are you mad about? We're not. No, you're my girl. Like, I didn't know it was your girl. Right. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I say communication. And a lot of women don't want to talk to men about it because it scares them off. Because they think that when we want to be exclusive, we're looking for the ring on our finger. And most of the time, we just want to have that confirmation. I like you, you like me. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to date anybody else. I want to date you. When it goes beyond that, we figure it out.
Of a mess.
No.
You know you're in a mess.
No,
I've been with him 6 months. Then you stay with him 9 months, and you see it ain't.
If I haven't by the 6th month, by month now, and sometimes it be day number 3. Day number 3, I'm cutting it, and I'm like, there's no need, just lose my number. But I'm just saying, by the 6th month, I know.
Well, I'm saying this: if you stay in a relationship for, let's say, a year or 2. But you already done seen a year ago that ain't what you really want. But you want to stay in there. That's
me.
Because people like to, like I said, be comfortable in a mess.
Some
because if you know that's not what you really want to go the distance with, then why are you staying in that?
Yeah.
You got to ask yourself, why are you staying in that? Because, like you said, you getting older, time is still passing. Next thing you know, 5 years is going to pass.
Mm-hmm.
Still in that mess.
And I can't do
So,
that. That's why I have a. I mean, I spend most of my time if I'm engaging with a guy, it's trying to figure out, what he's about. What do we have outside of the initial attraction that's going to allow us to grow a relationship.
All right, look, we almost out of time, but I want to get back to the initial question that I asked you at the beginning of the show, that you have been on Facebook talking about the unconditional.
Okay.
You said that you don't think a man and a woman can love each other unconditionally.
Yeah.
So why do you say that? You don't think love can be found unconditionally?
I don't think it can be, because like I said before, we basically put conditions on the people we choose to love. When we have, it's just like as a woman, we tell you got too many knots. You do not have a car. You do not have your own place. You do not have a job. You can love that guy. So I can't love him because I put conditions on the type of man that I choose to open my heart up to. When you do that, one of the first things that women say, oh, if he cheated on me, I'm gone. But you're supposed to love unconditionally. Even if he makes a mistake, what happened to the love? Why are you so ready to break away from that? If there was unconditional love, then it would never change. When the Father loves us, even in our worst condition, he still loves us. He doesn't throw us away. He doesn't kick us to the side. He doesn't divorce us. He's still with us. But as human beings, instead of being a man or woman, right, you don't make enough money, you done this, you done that. Okay, how can you stop loving me now that I have changed my situation? I'm disabled, whatever it is, now I can't love you. So how can there be unconditional love when we automatically, when we date, put conditions on who we choose to love?
I like that. I like the way you put it. And I like when you threw the big man in the
I gotta give props to him.
John, what are your thoughts about that?
But if you think about it, yes, the Lord loves us unconditionally, but also the Lord gives us conditions as well. The Lord wants us to follow a particular ritual. The Lord wants us to follow a particular regimen as far as things. He wants us to follow him. He wants us
to, but he don't stop loving us if we don't.
That's correct. That's
unconditional.
That's where the unconditional
comes
right.
In. So,
but he does put conditions in his clause. He does put conditions in there because he realizes that we're not perfect. So when we follow that, when we follow the word, when we try our best to be more like him, that's what he desires. Yes, he realized that we're not perfect. So with relationships, at the end of the day, I'm going to be real with you. We all have conditions. Mm-hmm. The purpose of it is to love that person unconditionally, but you kind of have to have conditions. With that being said, you have a type, correct? You have a type of person?
Yeah, they breed.
Do you have a type? You have a type?
Yeah,
I have a type. So with that being said, it's unfair for us to say that we can't love a person unconditionally because conditions fall into place. But if you think about it, we have a preference. We know what we like. We know what we don't like. So it's safe to say that we have conditions, but what it is we have to have conditions in order to get to the unconditioned. Because I know me, I'm probably not going to go out and date a woman that's 7'4" and that's 463 pounds with that's bow-legged, because I know that's not my type. That's not my preference.
But I'm going to tell you from just my own personal experience, and I hope back in high school, my type was light, bright, almost white.
Okay.
My first boyfriend was nowhere near that.
Okay.
So that to me is where I say, when you allow your heart to open up to something.
Your boyfriend, he won't bright.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
Blue black wasn't.
Yes, he was.
Gorilla black.
Yeah. So because what happened was conversation. Mm-hmm. He pursued me. That laid the foundation for every other man that comes behind him, because I'm a woman that wants to be pursued. I'm not going to chase you. I have to be pursued. He pursued me. Phone conversation made me laugh. So my heart opened up to something that I wasn't my type. Mm-hmm. What I consider, because like I said, in life you go through phases of what considered to be beautiful people or whatever. So that was my first high school sweetheart. So that's how I know that your heart can love whoever it wants to love. Sure. We just, as a society, have conditioned ourselves to see what attracts us. And what attracts you is okay. It's okay. People want to call you shallow. It's okay to know what you're attracted to. You can know what you're attracted to, and you can say, well, you're not my type. I used to have this attitude when I was go out to the club. I was 400 pounds, and people would look at me and they just would walk past me, and I was mad because I'm like, they should love me for who I am on the inside. But then be a guy that's 4'9", 360 pounds, come to me.
Yeah.
Okay, come to me, and then I realized I turned him down. Then I realized I was a hypocrite. So I knew that they didn't have to love me because they wasn't attracted to me. I had to find the right man that's attracted to me, and I'm attracted to him, and then we get to know each other from the inside out.
That sounds like a condition.
It is a condition. Okay. That's why I don't love unconditionally.
one can't go without the other. So when the guy that you gave a shot to, I know we're running on time. The guy that you gave a shot to that was Gorilla Black. What allowed you to allow him to chase you?
His personality.
Okay.
Yeah, he made me laugh. He was funny.
So that was something that attracted you to him. That was something that you liked. That was conditioned.
Yeah.
So when you were conditioned, it allowed you to love him or care for him unconditionally, because both can't work without the other.
No, unconditional means you don't have any condition on the love that you have.
But that's not. How can that be possible?
That's what unconditional means.
How can that be possible? In order to get to something that's unconditional, you're going to have conditions, correct?
No.
How so?
That's what it means. No condition. That's what unconditional means. No condition.
His personality was something that attracted you to him.
Yes.
You enjoy personality in people.
Yes.
If somebody can make you laugh, somebody can make you smile, that's a condition that you kind of like and you prefer.
Yes.
So that opened the door, which is a condition. So when they brought you into the door, you began to care for him.
That means I love with a condition.
So you can do it unconditionally.
No, you gotta look at the definition of the word.
They can't work without each other.
They gotta play on words.
Yeah.
Can they work without each other?
Well, yeah, because it's just like night and day. You're gonna have one and you're gonna have the other, but you're not gonna have them both at the same time.
Yeah.
So when there's night, then day is over here, but day and night is not here together.
I can take the man I have conditions on.
Unconditional is what you aspire to.
Yes.
But man is no way he's there yet.
Yeah, no way.
Because man always put conditions on everything. Even in loving your own child, there's conditions to a child doing certain things due to parents sometimes cast them. So their conditions, that's just a man's nature is to put conditions on things. God's nature is for man to aspire to be like him and love unconditional. Man may get there at some point in time, but man ain't there yet.
Yeah, we're not there. We can try to do it.
But it's worth aspiring to. Love as unconditional as you can. Don't put so many stipulations on people and relationships, because nobody is perfect. People will make mistakes and people will change.
True.
We do put conditions on people, but the less conditions and restrictions you put on a person, then the more open you can be to a meaningful relationship. But that's been conditioned all through history. One time blacks and whites couldn't. Yeah. There were conditions between races and everything else. Religions. Well, all the time, I do want to thank the audience of the Facebook for tuning in. Again, we'll be back next Thursday. I want to thank Charlene for joining us this evening.
Yeah.
John also for joining us, and you'll be back again next week. And particularly, I want to thank Lorenda, our producer, for producing this for us. Again, look, go to the website, my website, terrenceperry.com. My book's on the website. When you want to talk about relationships, the book Reinventing Yourself talks about relationships in particular. John, you got a book that's coming out tomorrow. Can you tell them? Can you mention that again?
Just tell about that for a little bit. It's gonna be like a little sneak peek. Tomorrow, it's all about. The name of the book is How to Understand a Woman, but from a Man's Viewpoint. And some of the key points that I kind of focus on are the 7 types of women that are in the world. And of course, I got specific names that I'm giving them. So there's Consuela Control. There's Isabella Independent. There's Constant Confrontational. So there's about 3 out of 7 I'm only going to chat about. But if you think about it, we have 7 beautiful women in the world that kind of describe women in general. And of course, log onto my website tomorrow night. It's www.datedoctor.com. That's DATEDOCTA.com. And that way you can learn a little bit about some of the books that I've kind of written. First book is kind of like how to get over them in 10 days. Them doesn't necessarily have to be people. Them could also be materialistic value. The next book that I had was more so his pride. What that means is it's kind of additional ways on understanding how a man and his pride kind of deters him or kind of defines him as a person. But that's just a little bit about some of the things that I got going on, and because I just kind of love people, love to chat, and that's a little bit about it. And it chats about some unconditioned stuff in there as well.
All right,
yeah.
Facebookers, we'll see y'all. Thanks for just tuning in.
You know,
All right.
Woo!
I gotta put
I'm
conditions
gonna
on.
have to shut out.
So what?
I'm serious now.
Oh, yeah.